We're live. Excellent. Well, welcome one and all to our first episode of Operation Sand Dune. This is our project that myself, Andy, and Sam are working on. So this is kind of an introduction to the project, a little bit of progress about kind of where we're at this point, and hopefully finish up with some sort of general discussion about the kind of theatre that we're looking at in general. So we'll start off with introductions. Sam, do you want to go first?
Yes, hi there, my name is Sam Phillips. I suppose freelance writer. I've written for Warlord Games, a little bit of Mantic Games, Hawk War Games. You can find my articles at warriorsworkbench.blogspot.com, I think it is. Any articles that I've done in the past gets collated there now, and new stuff will be coming out periodically anyway. But apart from that, I've been working for, I've been writing for Tabletop Gaming Magazine, and a couple of things for War Games Illustrated that are yet to come out. So yeah, there we go, that's me.
Brilliant. And Andy?
Yeah, I'm Andy Singleton. I run Volley Fire Painting Service. I've got a blog which has got loads of reviews and bits and pieces on it. It's imaginatively titled Volley Fire Painting Blog. I've also got a Facebook page, again, Volley Fire Painting, so you can see catalogues of all my work, all the stuff painted. I've done a bit of writing for Warlords, tons of stuff on their site, and a little bit for War Games, Soldiers and Strategy as well. So there's a couple of articles in there, and I've just had one come out on staying motivated when you're collecting an army. So yeah, you can find me most places.
Excellent. Excellent. I actually did. I just read the other day your article on. I think it must have been that one in WSS, the collecting, and you had your Fallschirmjäger there, and like that was good. Some really good advice there, I think, as well. So if you're watching at home, go buy it. And I think issue 73, is it, or
Something like that.
Possibly.
Yeah.
No idea.
at some point and put that up. But yeah, it's well worth reading anyway. As
You can't.
As a quick plug for WSS. And I guess I should introduce myself for all those who don't know me. My name's Titterington, general amateur for pretty much everything. I guess started writing articles, getting into that through this project. Have my YouTube channel, T's Creative Ramblings, where this video will be once we've finished. Got a Facebook page, T's Foam and Terrain, and all that. And I just generally post videos and pictures of what I'm working on, and just general random stuff, I guess. So let's explain how we kind of got to this stage, how we got Operation Sand Dune off the ground. Andy, do you want to kind of explain how we got going on this?
Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a happy accident, really, wasn't it? Because I mean, a couple of us had all been talking separately, saying how we got an interest in the Desert War. And I think it was just before Jewel in the Sun came out. Was it just before or just after? I think we were all chatting on various stages and saying, "Oh, I'm really looking forward to it. I want to do a Desert Force. I want to do this. I want to do that." And we thought, actually, it'd be really cool to do a project log, do a blog of it. How could we do that in a cool way? And we thought, well, why not do a series of video updates and link it in with our own channels, with our own blogs? So, like yourself, Carl, with your own channel, where you can do sort of reviews and updates there, battle reports, myself and Sam with our blogs where we write things, and then hopefully through sort of magazines and through the Warlord channels as well, we can get articles, modelling stuff, gaming scenarios, anything like that out as well, so we can build up quite a helpful resource for people, hopefully, that people can refer back to or gain ideas from when they're trying to collect a force theme throughout the desert. So I think we're all coming at it from different angles and different things we want to achieve. And I think through that we'll be able to hopefully sort of keep people interested and excited about it, because a lot of people focus on, say, the late war or the Eastern Front or the Pacific, and the deserts, it's popular, but it doesn't have quite the same sex appeal as, you know, the later periods. It's got a lot going for it. It's got a lot of charm. It's a fascinating period. So I'm kind of hoping to raise a little bit of awareness to it as well. Maybe spread a bit of love for history and all the different units and all the huge bewildering array of nationalities that fought were there as well. So yeah, I'm really quite fired up about this because there's just so much we can do with it. But, yeah, that's my take anyway.
Definitely. Sam, so maybe you can explain, what is it that grabs you about this kind of theatre? What do you enjoy about it?
Well, for me, I suppose I've always been interested in the SAS. You'll find that my armies, apart from the Soviets, they tend to be fairly small, compact, but pack a punch. So not necessarily built up in numbers. And I think that's why I like the idea of the SAS in desert warfare, behind enemy lines, that kind of thing. I think it's just the whole bravado of it, Yeah. Oh, and I suppose the miniatures really help. Cracking up the set that both Perry and Warlord do. So for me, I think it's a case of normally I go for the historical aspects of it, but in this, I don't really know a great deal about desert warfare, and it's a very nice way for me to get involved at the basic level, and purely by going off the miniatures, going, wow, that looks really cool, and then further reading into it. So over the coming weeks, I'll be more enlightened as I'm building my army.
Cool. Yeah, I agree with you. And I guess for me, the desert is an area where you can, there's so much, as Andy was saying, going on. There's so many different units. One of my thoughts is in the future is doing an SAS unit because I like you, Sam, I quite enjoy sort of learning about them. But I've also read enough about the Greeks that were part of the SAS and the French that were part of the SAS in the desert. And so I'd quite like to actually do the SAS but slightly different and kind of add in those other elements. But I think for me, the desert really is that it's still classed as the early war period, but at the same time you can have quite large tank battles like a lot of people do with the later war. And for me, the later war has too many big overpowering vehicles, whereas the early war is still relatively, vehicles can be pinned and they can be defeated, and infantry is still very important. And I think for me that really is what appeals about the desert. That kind of being able to use tanks but not have them overpower the game. I don't know what you guys feel about tanks in the game.
Well, my force have no tanks. So as far as I'm concerned, any players I will be facing against, you shouldn't include tanks. Just get rid of them. You don't need them. It's fine. Oh wait, what's Andy got now? Yeah. It's fine. I've got a few answers for it. It's all good.
Andy doesn't like tanks, particularly his Stugs. Does not like them.
I don't have lots and lots and lots of Stugs. And in the course of years, I don't have it yet, but I could actually do every model of every Stug that served in North Africa as well at some point.
Nice.
Like 3, but still.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So let's go on and kind of discuss what each of us have sort of planned for this project, because I think one of the great things about this project is that we're all kind of doing different elements of the theatre. So, Sam, do you want to start with your force?
Yeah, well, as mentioned, it's going to be an SAS-themed force, using a mixture of Warlord and Perrys. The infantry are mostly all Perry miniatures, but there are quite a few sort of Warlord conversions and stuff in there. So I've actually, I'll document this as on the blog and stuff and on a Facebook page that I've got as it goes on. But yeah, so it's going to be a case of small elite infantry mounted in trucks, just hurtling across the desert, trying to avoid all those tanks. But the idea is everybody will be armed to the teeth. So each squad is going to have not just, well, you can have 2 light machine guns, but I'm equipping all of them with the squads that I've got with Vickers LMGs. It gives an extra dice roll when hitting, which is quite nice. So the good thing about the SAS forces is they only have 8-man squads. So when you're baying the base unit, you only get 4 men in a squad. So we are talking very small kind of units. But it's going to be 2 8-man squads mounted in trucks, followed by the ever impressive range desert group trucks from Warlord. But what I'm going to do with at least one of them is mount a anti-tank gun on the back of it. So yes, that could be interesting. So it's going to be a bit of a conversion job, but looking forward to doing that. Yeah, then backed up by SES jeeps, as many machine guns as I can take, lots of anti-tank grenades. I think we're going to have to include I think it's a pirate. I think I've got that in there somewhere. Yeah, so I'm kind of aiming for not pirate, sorry, anti-tank rifle. So I'm aiming for a 750 point force to start off with, but there's going to be room to sort of expand. Because obviously the long-range desert group trucks are, I think they're classed as armed cars. Obviously in the force platoon organisation you can only take a certain amount per platoon, but that force is perfect as well for tank wars.
Cool.
So,
cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're going at the moment. Yes, mine is all built. It's not painted yet. So there you go.
Are they all Mickey vehicles as well in the SAS platoon?
Yep. Yeah, so we can run away like men.
Oh, that's dirty. That's so dirty.
Yeah, and so we'll fire the odd round at you and then run away.
Nice.
And of course, with that army list, don't you have the rule that says everybody has to be able to be transported by vehicles?
Yes. Yeah, that's it. So just to give you a quick breakdown of what we've got. So as I say, we've got the 2 infantry squads mounted in their trucks, little 15-ton Bedfords. Then you've got each of the smaller squads. So I've got 2 jeeps. One will carry an officer and 1 man, and the other jeep will carry the tank rifle team, should I need them to just run about the battlefield and set up. Yeah, so the whole force is mobile, so there isn't anybody on foot. But I'm going to get another jeep, because obviously you can still have the free. What is it with the British? It's the free little man, isn't he? So the artillery. I think it's the air artillery. Yeah, that's it. So grab another jeep, cheap 25 points or even less. Oh no, veterans 25 points. Yeah, stick him in that, then off we go.
That free observer's so painful as well. I've only experienced it once, but I don't really want to experience it again particularly.
Yeah, it's a nice little backup that you've got, really. So, especially for my force, where you have got nothing really that heavy hitting. I mean, you've got a light anti-tank gun, which is fantastic, because never underestimate it. I remember my famous little Tetrarchs running around, eventually taking out a nice Panther just by getting behind it. Yeah, so it's doable. The thing is with this force, obviously, it's small, it's very lightweight. However, get them in close, get those pin markers down, reaching objectives, and generally getting out the way. Yeah, can't wait to actually test that battle.
I think it'd be great, because I think you're going to have to use a lot of careful timing with it, aren't you? You're going to have to time your attack so you're coordinating quite carefully. And you're going to have escape as well to get away from retaliation. I reckon it'll be an absolute blast to play.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to cracking on and see what we can get with it. Especially as the tanks are coming in, I can just leave. But the other key thing as well with the SES force, the list chosen is obviously behind enemy lines, and as you say, Carl, everyone has to be mounted. If I wanted to go on all infantry side of things, they've also got that special rule where they can actually, quite literally, turn up from behind enemy lines.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, the only sort of danger I could see with the force is if you start getting a lot of units bogged down in firefights, you know, and sort of lose that mobility and the pace that you're kind of, describing in your force. Do you think that'll be an issue, or?
Yeah, I think the idea was, because I've got, depending on what obviously size force I'll be choosing initially, for what I've got at the moment, I could quite happily send the 2 SAS jeeps who have got a myriad of different machine guns, send them forward, backed up by the trucks behind. The chances are that the SAS jeeps are going to prove a bit more of a hazard because they can pack out so many light machine gun shots that they're going to put quite a few pins on, which is quite nice, depending on obviously who I'm targeting. If it's a tank, well, that's a bit different. I'll just generally stick that in front of my infantry, and the infantry will just run away, and I'll use the jeeps as a nice little barricade. So yeah, it's the same with the trucks as well. Because they're technically an armoured car, they have got a little bit of an armoured kind of protection. So yeah, it's just careful manoeuvring. Line of sight is key as well. The only thing I do have to look out for is high-X shots.
Yeah.
Because
everyone
is open. Say again, sorry.
So something like a light autocannon as well. One of those knocking around could be quite a threat to your jeeps.
Yeah, I'm thinking of getting another truck and doing that. Yeah. Might have to be done.
Mind you, the light anti-tank gun's like the most powerful anti-tank gun in the game. You can guarantee you're going to kill whatever you're shooting with that. None of the super heavy nonsense. You use light and you're set. I find. I've had no luck with super heavies, but lights are perfect.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is with my little force is the chances are people will want to take out that anti-tank gun fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Because they know that's kind of the apparent threat on the board.
Yeah.
But as I say, if the squads are all armed with anti-tank grenades and they're very, very quick at getting in there and doing their job, the chances are you'll be concentrating far too much on the myriad of different vehicles charging towards you and forget about the infantry. I think the other key thing is because it's a fast-paced army, if there's any objectives that need claiming, it's just get there as quick as you can with as much protection as you can and hold out. So.
Yeah, definitely. I did actually have a question about the SAS. Maybe you know the answer to this, Sam. I know historically a lot of them carried sort of submachine guns, SMGs, various different types. But in the game, can you arm your whole section with SMGs, or does it limit you to how many you can have per section?
I think everybody has, from what I remember, everyone's got an SMG. I think it's a rifle and a pistol, but you can equip everybody with SMGs. Right. So one of my squad has got mostly rifles because I need that little bit of range, and then another bit of squad has got SMGs. However, so that's 4 of them have got SMGs, but the other 4 are the 2 Vickers machine gun teams.
Right.
And these are when I say the Vickers, I don't mean the medium machine guns. I mean the Vickers LMG. So yeah, it's a nice little 5-point upgrade, I think it is. But for 5 points, yeah, as I say, you're kicking out more firepower for your 8-man squad.
Yeah. So I guess it's just cramming them with as much firepower as you can, and sort of.
It is, yeah. I mean, the temptation to give both squads SMGs, it's quite a nice option. But when you think that for the 8 guys, you're going to be it's like my paratroopers. When you're tooling them up with much stuff as you can, you'll find that you are spending quite a lot of points on just the troops. If you then come across a force that has far many infantry to your couple of squads, you can find that the numerical advantage goes their way. But as I say, with the 8-man squads, they are packing quite a punch. SMGs have got 2 shots each. Yes, they've got a short range, but that's why you've got the Vickers there. You're putting out 8 shots with just those 2 guys on their own.
And that's pretty good. I mean, if you've got rifles as well, I mean that's really probably close to average. I mean, I know with my BEF sections, I've got my light machine gun. Everybody else has got rifles. I think I'm kicking out about 11 shots every time, and it's got the range, but the BEF aren't expected to do what the SAS are, which is get up really close, pile out of your truck, shoot everybody up, get back in, and off you go home for tea and medals. I mean, so
that's it. Yeah, I think the other trick is if you're going to make it larger, you use the infantry to work off each other, very similar to the buddy system. You've got the guys with the rifles. Obviously, they've got the range. but you've got the SMG guys who can give very close fire support should they need it. Yeah, so it's just a case of getting up there and seeing what happens. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to testing them on the actual battlefield. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Yeah. Do you have anybody locally who has a German force that you'll be playing, or?
Not yet. I think they're waiting to see what I'm going to come up with, really, and then I'm going to introduce it to the club. I say that because I run the club, so I'll be introducing it. And we'll see what kind of desert warfare we can get going, really. Yeah, so it's just. I think the other thing is it's just to inspire anyone who's perhaps never even picked up a model or even discovered bolt action. This is kind of a different way that we're going about it. Yeah, no, it should be good. So I mean, if nobody actually collects anything, I may just get a second force and lend it out.
Yeah, well, I know that's what I'm going to be doing because there's nobody in 50 miles of me. But yeah, so Andy, tell us about your force because you've done something a little bit different than us.
I have, yeah. For start, I'm doing the Germans, and you're both doing the Brits, so that's the key difference, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm doing a Panzer platoon. I've not set any sort of points limit or anything particularly. I'm probably looking at maybe about 1,500-ish as a rough figure. But I'm doing a Panzer platoon based on the 21st Panzer Division, and I'm theming them for probably about late 42, so maybe Al Alamein just after Operation Compass as well. So I'm covering that sort of period, and so I'm covering lots of Panzer IIIs, a couple of Panzer IVs, and I wanted to get a couple of armoured cars in as well, as they just look cool and they're so iconic for the desert, but they kind of had to be there really. So yeah, I've got 3 Panzer IIIs, 2 Panzer IVs, which are going to be the short-barreled ones with the light howitzers, and 2 SDKF said 222 armoured cars, these ones.
Ooh, I want one of those for my early war Germans.
I've used the 221 before, the one which has just got the machine gun in it, and that was quite fun. So this one, where it's that little bit punchier with the light auto cannon and the machine gun, I think it'll be quite a laugh to play. Again, it's all part of the tank platoon, so I think you can have 6 selections, an HQ, and then 5 units. So technically I'm over that at the moment, so I might have to split it into 2 platoons, maybe have the Panzers in one and the armoured cars, I've got another one in a box somewhere, as another platoon. So I'd have, 5 Panzers and 3 armoured cars across a 2 platoon force, which is something I've not done before. I've not really tried splitting platoons. But I think it could be quite fun because then you can have the armoured cars as you recce them, they can go out and do some scouting, harass things like anti-tank guns, enemy recce, any light vehicles. And the other thing is, in the desert, if you're playing sort of fairly historically matched up forces, most of your armour ratings are 8. You're not looking at a great deal of medium tanks, even the ones that are, they're still only 9. So light autocannons can penetrate those on the side. So they could actually go and do a bit of tank hunting as well, hopefully, if they get into position, sort of go nipping up. So they've got sort of the hammer blow with the Panzer IVs and the howitzers going after infantry, and anti-tank guns, artillery, all that sort of goodness. The Panzer IIIs are medium armour with medium anti-tank guns. They're Aus Js, so they'll just go off and do whatever they feel like. They're fantastic tanks. I've used them a few times, and it's rapidly becoming one of my favourites. It's not sexy, it's not fancy, it's not got anything special, but it's just solid. You know, it does what it's supposed to do. They're great. You know, they can harass infantry, they can harass tanks. You know, they can even take out a super heavy if you're ridiculously lucky with your dice. But they can do it all. So they've got to be the core. And the model's fantastic. It's one of my favourites. So I'm going to have those loaded up with loads of stowage, loads and loads of stowage on them, sandbags, all that goodness. I'll probably add some infantry as well at some stage, because I'm a bit vulnerable without them. Some of the missions you can't actually do without infantry anyway. You'll just fail. so they kind of have to be there. But I can't decide what to have them in at the moment. Because I love the Hanomag. It's a great looking model. It's a lot of points, but it is fun. But they didn't actually have that many of them in Africa. I was looking at I've got a document from the Combined Arms Research Library in the States, which I think is part of West Point. And it's an order of battle for the 21st Panzer. And I was like, oh, I've really got to see how many Hanomaks they had. And I think they had like 3 in the command battalion, and that was it.
Well, you can have 3. There's no reason why you can't.
Yeah.
You know?
I could have nicked them from somebody else, got them an email or something. But the other option, this is pretty cool, is after the Americans got into the war and things like Catherine Pass, where the Germans sort of overran and captured these vast stocks of equipment, you see them using huge amounts of jeeps, weapons carriers, armoured cars, all that stuff. So I think I might even use something a bit different, like an M3 half-track, and use that for them rather than a Hanomag. It'll just be a fun little modelling exercise, so I can sort of take a normal American M3 and put the flag on it and cover it in crosses, loads of weathering and extra stowage, German crews. It's just a little twist.
I think that's something that could be pretty cool, because I mean, with all our forces, we're going to be doing some cool converting options.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of the desert, isn't it? Because everybody basically nicked and used everybody else's kit. Like, say, with your SAS trucks, you look at the pictures of the ones with the auto cannons or the anti-tank guns. It's rare to see them using an actual British anti-tank gun. You see loads of like Italian or German guns on them, but hardly ever with an actual British gun on them.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's just whatever they could get their hands on, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's probably what appeals for that force for me, because they kind of bodge everything together and it works.
Yeah. Kind of walkie, isn't it?
Yeah. That's probably why. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking when I get around to SAS, they're actually using some of the Blitz trucks. We've nicked those. We're going to sneak behind enemy lines, right? Let's get in those, and I think it'd just be different.
Isn't that a film? Or doesn't that happen in a film? I can't remember which one. It's like a 60s, 70s film with an airfield.
Yeah,
I know this one.
Yeah.
Because
don't they, in the Desert Rats, don't they use some Italian trucks?
Oh, I can't remember. It's a while since I've watched it. We'll have to watch a film. Each watch a film by next time and go and discuss.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got some. I'm off on holiday next week, so I've got some light reading.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah. So expect my force to be like radically changed when I come back.
Excellent. I've got so many books on the desert at the moment. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it's just gotten a bit compelling. I mean, one thing I wanted to do, I was watching a YouTube documentary on the Africa Corps, and there's one bit where I think it's Panzer II, the crew sort of standing next to it getting filmed as they do. Where it was so hot, this bloke sort of gets an oily rag off, cleans off a bit of the mud guard, and just sort of takes the desert paint with it as well. So you just get this like patch of dark grey paint underneath it, and then he sort of cracks a couple of eggs, and he's literally frying these eggs on the side of his tank. Then him and his mate, they're eating these eggs off the side of the tank.
You're going to have to model them on the tank now.
Yeah, it's got to be done.
Get the green stuff out.
Yeah, that's compulsory, that now, I think.
Definitely. Well,
Carl, what were you going to do?
Yeah. I was just going to say, so I'm going for the sort of the standard British. I've actually decided to do 2 forces. They're going to be about 650 points each, roughly. The first is an 8th Army. I think I'm going to base them around the 7th Armoured Division. And they're basically the British Desert Rats, sort of made famous by films like The Desert Rats and obviously Monty and all that. And I'm basing them around the Operation Compass list. So they're kind of classed as early to mid-war. I'm having 3 infantry sections, and I've actually decided, because I've got such a limited points, I thought I'd actually make them 7-man units, which is unusual for me. I don't usually do that with British. I like the full 10-man squads, but I've got 2 regulars and 1 inexperienced. I then just look at my list quickly, wherever I put it. I've got thrown a medic in there. Why not? Actually, one of the really cool things about my force that I really like is I took the free artillery observer, and I had the Christopher Lee figure from Warlord Games. Don't know if you guys.
Oh yes, yeah.
And I actually thought, well, why don't I paint him up and he can be my artillery observer? So he's there for that. That's pretty cool. He's a great figure. Absolutely love him. Love painting him. And then I've gone for kind of your standard machine gun team, anti-tank rifle team, light mortar, light artillery in the kind of 25-pounder. It's kind of what I'm going for that. And then I've gone for the light. I think it's the Vickers light tank. I wanted the kind of iconic looking tank to be sort of the centerpiece of the force. I'm not sure how good it'll be. There is the sort of kind of scope to expand and actually get a couple more and make it into a tank platoon. But having never played Tank Wars before, I'm sort of don't really know what I'm doing with that sort of list. So I'm going to wait until I get the book and then I can work that out. And then on top of that, I've got 2 3-ton Bedford trucks, which is weird because usually my forces tend to be not very mobile. I don't like a lot of vehicles. Partly that's because I'm a bit of a cheapskate and I don't like, buying vehicles.
No, why not?
Yeah, but also I guess just sort of knowing how to play them in the game, and I've, with my early war force that I've been using with my Belgians and my British, I've been practicing more and more about using vehicles and seeing how they can affect the game. So I've got my Morris CS9 armored car, which I love running around the table, and I find that brilliant. So I kind of, on the base of that, thought, well, actually, it is the desert. Most forces had to be mobile because of the distances they were traveling. Let's go ahead and make sure that I can transport everything. So I've got them. I really like them. And then my other force, again, 650 points, is based on Operation Lightfoot, which is, I think, a little bit later. I think that's Second Battle of El Alamein, that sort of period. And they're going to actually be an Indian army. I had originally played with the idea of doing Aussies and Indians because Perrys do the 2 different types of heads. I thought about it, and then somebody was telling me that in the Duels in the Sun book, they've actually got a specific rule for the Indian Army, which I really like the idea of. So my plan now is, I think you get a free infantry section, so I'm going to have 3 infantry sections of Indians plus the free one. I'm actually going to do something slightly different. My Desert Rats are all out the Perry's figures. But the Indian armies, I'm going to use the late war British plastics from Warlord and convert them with Warlord heads to turn them all into to Indians. So I've got that. I've got to work out. I think I'm actually going to use BEF machine gun team and light mortar maybe, and an anti-tank rifle team, and then just again do the head swaps. So sort of a lot of conversions. But that's going to be a fun force as well, and I really like the Crusader tank, so I decided that they had to have a Crusader. And again, they will expand in the future. Sorry, Andy?
I was going to say that Indian force will look really cool, actually. Especially with the battle dress as well, because it'll be that extra distinction.
Yeah, and I like the idea of doing something different. I know a lot of people, I guess, just do standard British, and obviously when it comes to the desert, it's all Desert Rats and British infantry. But from the reading that I've done so far, which isn't very extensive at all, it seems that the Indian Army really did send a lot of troops, and really a lot of them went to North Africa, and the amount of kind of support that the Indian Army gave to the British in North Africa seems to have been quite big. So I thought it was actually quite important to represent that in the fact that one of my forces is going to be Indian. So
it'd be nice.
Quite a few VCs as well, the Indians out there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, from my readings, it does seem that their actions were quite heroic at times and very sort of steadfast.
I was going to say it'd be a nice change from because whenever people think World War II, they automatically think Germans, Britons, Americans, Japanese. That's pretty much it. But I mean, there are forces like the Chindits, the Gurkhas, the Indians, the Greeks. It'd be nice to see a different flavour on the battlefield, actually.
Yeah, and I think across the community there does seem to be people who are more and more pushing the boundaries of what you see. I mean, just thinking of people like Patch and Brian in Australia, you know, what they're doing with their various different forces. I'm really inspired by Brian's Free French forces in North Africa. I love them, so I don't know, as I've got an early war French army, I'm almost tempted to get some French in the desert as well, but and you know, then there's other people who've kind of branched out. I know Brian Ward in Illinois or Michigan or somewhere up there. You know, he's done Greeks. I even got and paint me some RAF figures, so I'm really pleased to get those out on the table soon. But yeah, there's a lot going on, and I think it's really good to see that diversity. And I think certainly a lot of the stuff that Warlord are doing is helping people to branch out, because it's making it a lot easier to convert figures and.
It just creates awareness as well. I mean, you look at something like the Italy and the Axis book, or France and the Allies, is it? Something like that. Where you've got, you know, like the Italian and the French list, but then you've got all the minor powers coming in, and quite a few, well, certainly in the Allied book, a lot of those minor powers were fighting in the Mediterranean theatre, weren't they? They weren't, the Norwegians weren't, but I think other than that, most of them, in some way or other, were fighting there.
Yeah, definitely, and I think because with Africa, the way, you know, sort of following on from the kind of empires, you know, you have so many different colonies over there. Everybody's kind of got a little bit of an interest in what goes on. I know I was reading the other day about how I think it was the French had their territories and they were very keen to keep them. So Vichy France got them to start with, and then there was some agreement made that gave it over to the Free French, which then made it a possible landing place. You know, get back around the back of I think the Germans with Operation Torch. So I think I think it's a little bit more maybe political in Africa in terms of the regions.
Well, you get things like, let's say with Operation Torch, you get things like American, British, and Allied forces fighting the equivalent of early war French. So you've got all like the what's it? R35, is it? D35, various early French attacks going up against things like Shermans and Stuarts. It's just over the extra avenue of modelling and gaming as well.
Yeah,
I'm quite keen to explore that down the line.
Yeah, that's one aspect I need to tackle as well. It's all very building up the forces, but we need something to fight over. So maybe a hobby workshop might be in order.
Yes, we need somebody who knows about terrain, Carl.
Well, I don't know anybody who knows anything about terrain. But I'll tell you, my marketplace is going to be coming out for some pictures, because having made that for sort of Afghan sort of modern fighting, I was like, actually, that would work quite nicely on the table for North Africa. So I've got a few other bits and pieces that I'm going to be knocking up, and I'll put those out on my videos as well. But yeah, certainly I'm thinking for the desert of making it quite quick terrain. I don't want anything that's going to take me a long time. I just want to throw it together and get it out on the table. And so I've got a few bits that I'm kind of using as inspiration, trying to knock up some quick sort of scatter terrain, a lot of scatter terrain. I also, you know, hopefully when I get the book come through, you know, looking at sort of a lot of the terrain that's specific to the desert, like your sand dunes and your quicksand and minefields. I know there's a bit about that in Germany Strikes, but I want to see whether it's different at all in the new book. So yeah, I've got a few ideas up my sleeve for terrain, and I'm certainly happy to ship anything your way, Sam, if you need some.
Much appreciated.
A minefield could be a really cool bit of terrain, actually, even if it's like an inactive minefield or something. Just have a field like loads of bits of wire and entanglements and craters. Because there's such a sort of big feature of the desert warfare, weren't they? These like huge minefields, and that sort of dictated where the battles were fought pretty much, especially the ones we dug as we were sort of on the way back. So I think that'd be an awesome bit of seeing.
I think some ruined tanks as well could be quite cool.
Yeah, some Panzer III.
Yeah. I know that the foreground they do some nice sort of. I think are they Arabic dwellings? I think they're called.
I know the ones you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I think adobe buildings. I think they are.
Yeah.
You could, they look quite. They could, pass quite suitably. I think.
Yeah, and the Perrys. I know, Andy, you picked up a couple of Perrys ones, didn't you? They're very nice.
One of these. This is
just like that.
This is the sum total of my desert terrain. This and this tree at the moment.
So is that one-on-one bolt action combat then? Literally two guys facing each other. Would that be good skirmish game? That.
Feel like a barroom wall.
I'd play that. Sounds good.
I quite like the minefields and the way it works in the game. Certainly from what I've read in Germany Strikes is that you pay the points and you lay a minefield and you can pick where you want it. I've seen when I played my club back at home. I'd seen a few people who I think it was Flames of War, and you sort of pick so many bits of terrain each, and then you roll the dice and you put it out on the table where you want, or randomly, or something like that, and you could kind of position bits where you think would help you but hinder your enemy, and I think the minefield could work much to that kind of effect.
Yeah, I've sort of skimmed the rules for them, but I don't know them too in depth. But I think there's that unconscious fear with them almost, that they might not be overly effective, but there's always that chance that they could be utterly devastating by the same count. So do you really, really want to risk it, or do you want to just sort of try and bypass it and come up with another solution?
Yeah, I really liked it to kind of sort of the medium mortar or the light mortar, in the sense that really every turn it could be very ineffective, but that one turn that it does hit, all of a sudden you find yourself in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. That's why I always take mortars, because they're always fun.
Yeah, definitely. I'm learning that more and more with my early war games. So.
Yeah.
I think I will say one aspect about that during the Sun book. Have you seen the way paratroops can land?
Yeah.
You have.
No wrong with letting them float down onto the board.
Yeah, there's two ways of doing it. There's the good old kind of similar to the old scattered.
That's my dog.
He's extremely excited about the paratroops. I like that. The other way of doing it is, and I love this, paper aeroplane, stand a few feet away from the board, chuck it, and that's where they land.
Yeah. I always love the bits of paper for the different sections, and then on the ruler, and then you just drop it, and they all float down. I quite like that one.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah. I quite like the glider one, as I say. Yeah, because you got the paratroopers and the glider one.
So
it's
there historically a lot of jumps. I know the 82nd jumped in with kind of the first American jumpsuits in. I can't think. Was it Operation Torch, or there was an operation where they jumped in? But was there anything else?
I think the Germans did a few drops. I think the Brandenburgers did a drop. I don't know if Kampfgruppe did. I don't think they did. I think they were sort of knocking around in trucks, chasing after the SAS most of the time.
She did.
Yeah, just passing the time.
What should we do today, chaps? Well, let's chase some SAS.
I've got nothing on. Let's do that. I don't know, to be honest. I don't think. Was there a British airborne drop at some point? Didn't they try and capture an airfield or something and it went wrong?
Yeah,
there's one?
Yeah, no, I can't remember what it is now. We'll probably have people shouting at us. With the answer, you get it wrong.
No, I'm sure that the first SAS raid, I think, was a parachute drop, and they lost about 50%, either killed or captured.
Oh, that could be it. Yeah.
Yeah, because what they did is they then sort of perfected their way of warfare and then took it to obviously to Europe. So they kind of the SAS cut their teeth, obviously. in the desert warfare. Yeah, that's it. So I mean, over the next few weeks, I'll be learning a lot more, and I'll be able to tell you a lot more, which will be all right. So.
Excellent.
Sam will become our resident SAS expert.
I know, yeah. I've said it now, haven't I? I'm gonna have to put out like an article every day just to make sure we get it right. Yeah.
I have to say, I think most of my information is going to come from the episode from World at War. There's a great one on the desert, and it really covers it from I think it might be even sort of the late 30s with the invasion of Ethiopia by the Italians and Abyssinia as well. And then it follows it right through pretty much till their invasion of Italy. So it surprises me how much it goes in depth. It really is good. Just my small little bit of interesting fact that I like to throw out there is that the term the jerry can was sort of kind of came about from the desert because I think the British were using something different and they found it didn't work as well, and so they got some captured German cans and said, right, well, we'll use these because they're better than ours. So.
We used to use flimsy cans because they were flimsy.
So, yeah.
But, I think we should probably talk about what we're because we know what we're all doing. I think my initial plans, once stuff's kind of built, is show off some conversions I've done.
Nice.
Yeah, so very briefly, one of them is very simple. Vickers machine gun I've taken from the British airborne recce vehicle from Warlord, the Jeep, and just attached it to the light machine gun armed guy from Perry Miniatures Desert Rats, and it fits perfectly. Quite nice, yeah.
I saw the picture of that. We'll have to. Well, you have to get that up on your blog soon.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, well, I was just looking at it going, they need more firepower, so... yeah. So I think my first articles will probably be converting them. Less about painting from my side of things. That's more your guys' territory, really. Especially Andy with the good old volley fire.
I think Andy's definitely the painter. I wouldn't say I was on that, but I tried my best. But no, I'm looking forward to a lot of the terrain as well. Just throwing bits out there and seeing what I can do. I like the idea of really breaking it up so it's not just a flat cloth, with one army on one side, one army on the other, and then they just sort of go head to head. I like the idea of having your random buildings, maybe an oasis. I know I've got an oasis and the escarpments from Battle in a Box. I think they're often used to defend war terrain, but I found that they really do work for 28mm as well. So they're
Sand Dune's a sand dune, isn't it? It's either a big sand dune or it's a small sand dune.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I've got to come back to haunt me somehow.
Yeah. In terms of conversions, I haven't done a lot with my British so far. It's been pretty much build the Perry's figures and paint them. I'm giving I can't think what it's called now. It's the GW paint. It just makes that cracked earth effect. Experimenting with that and using that a bit, and that's coming out quite good. But the step from the figures base to the base itself, I sort of had to put sand around the outside of that to gently slope it out. I think my Indians will be much more of a conversion because I'm going to be taking a lot of the different Warlord sets and kind of bolting Indian heads onto them.
Those look very cool. I don't think you have to do a huge amount of conversion other than sticking the heads on, possibly.
Yeah, that's about it. I think because I've seen a lot of pictures actually of the Indian Army wearing sort of battle dress. So even in terms of their uniform, the webbing, it really shouldn't be that much of a lot to do.
Well, that was all of a standard, wasn't it? It's all, even with the desert kit, it was the same webbing. It was just wearing shirts and shorts.
Yeah.
Battle dress and shorts, or battle dress and battle dress.
I think for me, it's simple head swaps. So I've taken a couple of the Chindits sort of blisters, so the Piot, the anti-tank, and the medium machine gun, and I've just put desert rats heads on them, because the shorts and the rest of the uniform and the webbing, I'm just going to repaint and probably remodel a couple of the knives so they don't have that kind of curve. Yeah, just really simple things like that will probably make it pretty cool. Yeah.
How did you find with the heads, with Perry's going on to Warlord? How did you find that?
I don't do that. No, I've done it once, and the thing is, the Perry miniatures and the Warlord, I find the slightly different sizes, so they're not really that compatible. It depends what it is. Like I say, some of the guns off certain things from Warlord will fit the Perry miniatures. The Desert Rats, the one with the sort of the scarf, not the scarf, the headdress that they wear. That fits on a couple of the miniatures. So what I've tried to do is the Long Range Desert Group and the SAS Jeeps have got the heads that fit the chin dip bodies. So it's literally just a quick head swap that way, and it works quite well. It's just trial and error, really. Whatever you think looks good, just do it.
Yeah. I have to say, my Christopher Lee from Warlord is probably about a head in the scale bigger than the Perry's, but actually that kind of works because Christopher Lee was
very tall.
Quite a tall man anyway, so yeah, that worked out well. But I'm quite impressed with the Perry's figures actually, and I know from looking at the pictures you put up, Andy, before of your Africa Corps, they're really nice figures.
Mm. Yeah, they're good fun. I've got some of the Desert Rats when I eventually get around to them as well. But no, they're good. I mean, I'm just happy with anything for the desert at the moment. I mean, I'm not going to be doing a huge amount of conversions as such, but I am going to be doing a lot of stowage. So what I'll probably do at some point is put a little article together showing sort of a logical way to do stowage on a vehicle. Because instead of just, it's quite tempting just to get all your stowage and just sort of chuck it on, like all your sandbags, all your jerry cans, all your bedrolls and bits.
That's what I've done.
Yeah.
Just chuck it in the back, sling it there, it'll be fine.
Yeah. But just take that sort of little bit of science to it, so it's like, so you're not blocking your escape hatches and you're not blocking your vision slits and that sort of thing. So you don't get shouted at when you sort of turn up and you can't see out your tank, or you can't fire your machine gun without ripping apart a fuel tank.
I think that should just be a kind of a hindrance. So you fire on a less of a range or something, or you don't fire, or on less dice.
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm just sort of hoarding jerry cans, and I've got I've got about 6 on my desk at the moment, and then various others around various sprues, and I've got somewhere Warlord do some cast metal. I think they're meant to be like truck stowage.
Yeah.
Trucks. I've got some of those somewhere. I've used a few recently, but I've got another couple knocking around. I think those are great, so I want to try and pile those up on the back of some of my Panzers, maybe not all of them. But it does get quite a nice heft as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've done with my the trucks, because the Bedford ones are quite empty, and I thought, we need more stowage stuff in there, really. So it's just a case of cramming as much stuff that didn't fit on the other vehicles into it. And it kind of works, It's,
well, that's what they're there for, isn't it? They're there to carry all the other stuff that you can't get onto the jeeps and the gun trucks.
Yes, yeah. No, too right,
yeah.
I definitely think I'm going to be making objectives out of those jerry cans. I know Warlord do a set of them. They're all, I think, cast together. I'm definitely going to be using those.
That's a good idea. I wish I thought that.
I think in the desert, there was so much importance of kind of gasoline and water, that actually those kind of dumps were actually probably more strategical than actually taking towns and villages.
It's like that film Sahara with the Grant or a Lee, and the Luna Bell, the tank, and then the Germans are trying to capture this water point from them.
Yeah,
I recommend anyone check that out. I think it's on YouTube, probably. It's ancient.
It will be. Anything's on YouTube. So.
Yeah.
There's a remake of Belushi Don't watch that. Watch the old one.
Cool. Cool. Well, I think that kind of pretty much brings us fairly much to the end of this kind of introduction to the project. Any last thoughts, comments that you want to add, or are you good?
Not for the minute. I'll save it for next time.
Wow. Mystery man.
yeah. You better tune in next time to hear what Andy's thoughts were.
And you've got them by then too.
So we'll probably do another one of these in about a month's time. Hopefully, we will have had opportunities to advance our forces, whether that's painting or assembling or just generally sort of keep going with it. And I think now and then I will probably try and use what I've got of my Desert Rat force and get them out on the table, and I'll probably throw them against some early war Germans that I've got. So we'll just imagine that they hadn't been supplied desert stuff by that point. But yeah, I'll try to get a battle report out and we'll do that. And I've also got a video to put up of my own, so I'll aim to do that. Check out Andy and Sam's blogs, where you'll find more articles. I think Warlord are going to be publishing some articles as well of ours.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, I've got one I'm going to stick on my blog tomorrow, maybe Monday, Tuesday, something like that. It'll just be me going into a bit more detail with like an army list and what models I'm using. Much like what we've covered here, though, pretty much just in scribbled form.
Cool. And I think what I'll do, if it's all right with you guys, is on my Facebook page, I'll set up an album just called Operation Sand Dune, and if you want to throw me pictures of any of the stuff you've done, I can put them in there, and then people can go to that page and check out my albums and see what we've been up to.
That sounds good.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, gents, for joining us today. And we'll see everyone in another episode very soon, or in a month's time, I guess. So from me, it's goodbye.
Thank you for watching. Take care.
Yeah. Have a great one.
Cheers for having us. See you.
See you.
Bye.